Welcome students. I am Astha Diwan, Assistant Professor from the Department of Food Technology, Guru Jamdeshwar University of Science and Technology, Hisar. I am here to deliver my topic lecture on downstream processing in the course of bioprocess technology. First of all, we should know what is bioprocess technology. Bioprocess technology is the use of cell, higher plants and animals for the production of some desired product, and it can be done through the process of fermentation. So it involves three stages. First is upstream processing, then fermentation, then downstream processing. In upstream processing, it involves the purification of the microbial culture we want to use in the fermentation process. Then the fermentation is carried out under controlled conditions to produce the desired product. Then we have purification of the final product, that is desired product, through the process of downstream. So let's move on to the topic downstream processing. Now, what is downstream processing? It is the extraction and purification of the biotechnological product from the fermentation. So we need to extract the desired product, and it can be done through bioprocess, downstream processing, right? Then we have different kinds of methodology, which are dependent on many factors like nature of the end product, its concentration, stability, presence of other substances which can be toxic also, and degree of purification. Let's move on. Let's know about what kind of metabolites are there and where they are present, so that we can extract them accordingly. Right, now there are two types of metabolites, primary and secondary, and the presence of desired product have to be isolated. So we must know where the metabolite is present. So the first is intracellular metabolites, that those products which are located inside the cell. For example, vitamins, enzymes that are inside the cell, right? And then extracellular metabolites, which are present outside of the cell, especially in culture fluid. For example, amino acid, alcohol, citric acid, most antibiotics like penicillin, streptomycin, and few of the metabolites are present both, means inside also and outside also, like flavomycin, vitamin B12, and one more thing, microorganism can also be the desired product. For example, in single cell protein, we need the whole desired product, right? So we have adopted a particular process for the extraction and purification of the desired component, which is obtained from fermentation. So here are the stages which are employed in the downstream processing. We have to go serial wise. First is solid liquid separation. Then in case intracellular products are there, then we have to release them by cell disruption methods. Then we have to concentrate that desired product, and then we have to purify the product, means the other undesirable component have to be excluded. Then we have to go for the formulation, means the stability and the maintenance of the product. By increasing its shelf life, we go for the formulation. So let's start with the major steps involved in the downstream processing, which we have discussed in brief. Desired product is in the culture broth, right? So it can be present in two ways, intracellular and extracellular, means inside the cell and outside the cell. If it is inside the cell, then we have to go for the cell lysis, means we have to break down the cell by physical, chemical or enzymatic method to get the desired product out of the cell, so that the extraction can be easy. If the extracellular is present, then it is present in the solid or liquid form. So the broth is consisting of the solids and liquids. We have to go for the solid and liquid separation, so that the processing can be easier. The types of method we adopt for the solid and liquid separations are flotation, flocculation, filtration, centrifugation, right? So, and for the concentration, we adopt different kinds of methods like evaporation, liquid extraction, membrane filtration, precipitation, adsorption, And for the purification, we have to go by the chromatographic method, and different kinds of chromatographic techniques are employed in this case: gel filtration, ion exchange, affinity, hydrophobic interaction. And then after that we have to go for the formulation, so that we can have the product in the shelf stable form. Like we go for drying, freeze drying, crystallization, and then we can obtain our desired final product. Methods of cell disruption. It involves three kinds of method. First is physical method, which consists of ultrasonication, osmotic shock, heat shock, high pressure homogenization, impingement, and grinding with glass beads. In ultrasonication, we use ultrasonic waves, and it is widely used at a laboratory scale. In osmotic shock, it involves the suspension of the cell in 20% buffer solution. Then the cells are transferred to about water at 4 degrees Celsius. It causes the release of hydrolytic enzymes and binding proteins. Then we can subject the cell for breaking by heat treatment. Then we have high pressure homogenization. It involves the forcing of the cell suspension at high pressure through a very narrow orifice to come out of to atmospheric pressure, which causes this sudden release of high pressure creates a liquid shear that can break the cell. Then impingement. It involves the stream of suspended cells at high velocity, and the pressure are forced to hit either stationary surface, or it can be a stream of suspended cells also. Means literally we have to strike the cells on a surface, which involves that the force is created at the point of contact will disrupt the cell. And microfluidizer is a kind of device which is developed on this basis only. Then we have the grinding with the glass beads. Cells are mixed with the glass beads, and they are subjected to a very high speed in a reaction vessels. When the cell and why the cell break? Because they are forced against the wall of this vessels by the beads. So that causes the breakage of the cells, right? Then we have chemical method in which alkalis, organic solvents, detergents are involved. In this method, alkali, we use different kinds of alkalis like sodium hydroxide at pH 11, and it can cause the release of the growth hormone from the E. coli. Then we have organic solvents like methanol, ethanol, isopropanol, butanol. They are used to disrupt the cell, and the desired product can be released from the cell. Then we can use different kinds of detergents also, which are ionic in nature, and it can be cationic also, anionic also. Cationic cetyl trimethyl ammonium bromide, and the anionic type of detergents are sodium lauryl sulfate, which can denature the membrane protein and lyse the cell. And we can use non-ionic detergents also, for example Triton X100, and we can use these kinds of detergent for the disruption of the cell. Now we have enzymatic methods also for the disruption of the cell. First we use lysozyme, which will lyse the cell. And how it lyses the cell? It hydrolyzes beta 1 4 glycosidic bonds of mucopeptide in bacterial cell wall. So that causes the breakage of the cell, means digesting of the cell wall by the lysozyme and causing the periplasmic membrane to release the intracellular contents. Then we have different kinds of enzymes like glucanase, mannase, protease, which do the same thing. So let's have a look on the enzymatic method for the cell disruption. It will lyse the cell and release the intracellular content. Then we have solid liquid separation, right? It is the harvesting of the microbial cell for the separation of the cell from the microbial culture media. And several kinds of methods are involved for solid liquid separation, which are flotation, flocculation, filtration, centrifugation. In flocculation, we add flocculating agents like inorganic salts, organic polyelectrolyte, mineral hydrocolloids. What they do basically, the suspended particle has the negatively charge which is present in the solution, and we have to remove that, and the polymer will be carrying positively charged, so they will bind through ionic bonding, and they will start to form flocks, and then they will start forming the flocculation layers, and then we can remove the flock, these kinds of flocks which are shown in the figures. Now we have different kinds of filtration method. Depth filtrations of filters in the filtration technique, like depth filters, absolute filter, rotary drum vacuum filter, membrane filter. And in the depth filter, we use filamentous matrix such as glass wool, asbestos, filter paper, and the particles are entrapped within the matrix and the fluid can be passed through. And depth filter are basically used to remove filamentous fungi also. So next is absolute filters. Absolute filters, their pore size is more smaller than the particles to be removed. So bacteria from the culture medium can be removed by absolute filter. Rotary drum filter, its diagram is shown in the figure, which involves a drum rotating on the tank of broth. It will form a thin layer and it will go for the dewatering. Water will be removed and the cake will be formed that can be removed by knife. Then we have different kinds of membrane filtration technique, right? Microfiltration, ultrafiltration, reverse osmosis, nanofiltration, and these kinds of filtration processes have their characteristic features. Means they remove particular size of the particles from the solution. Like microfiltration can remove the size of the particle ranging from 0 to 10 microns, and ultrafiltration can remove 0.001 to 0.1 microns. Reverse osmosis, they can remove 0.0001 to 0.001 microns. And they have, depending on the molecular size, we can go for the selection of characteristic membrane filtration technique. Then we have centrifugation method, by which we can go for the solid liquid separation. These involves the basic concept of the centrifugal and centripetal force, and different kinds of centrifugation machines are employed. Like first figure A shows tubular bowl centrifuge, B shows disc centrifuge, C shows multi-chamber centrifuge, and D shows scroll centrifuge. It can also be known as decanter. Now we have concentration technique. Now what we have to do? We have to concentrate the product, right? So how we can remove? Means we have to remove out the water which is excessively present in the solution sample we have obtained by solid liquid separation. For this we employ different kinds of techniques like evaporation, liquid-liquid, extraction, membrane filtration, precipitation, adsorption. And the selection of different kinds of technique depend upon the sensitivity nature of the product we are going to isolate. In evaporation, we can different types of evaporators like plate evaporator, falling film evaporator, forced film evaporators, centrifugal forced film evaporators. In the falling film evaporators, you can see the feed liquor is allowed to fall from a thin layer, and it has a plate heat exchanger kind of system, which involves the contact with the plate which is being heated by the steam, and the water will evaporate from the feed liquor which is falling through the in the form of film, and the maximum of the surface area exposed, so the maximum removal of the moisture will take place in less time. In thin film evaporators, cylinder plate is involved in which the feed is allowed to pass, and the cylinder thin film is heated by the supply of the steam, which involves the removal of the water and concentrate the product. Then we have different kinds of other kinds also, forced film evaporator, centrifugal forced film evaporator. Then we move on to the next operation, that is liquid-liquid separation. In liquid-liquid separation is concentration of biological product that can be achieved by transferring the desired product from one liquid to another liquid phase. So that phenomenon is generally referred to as liquid-liquid extraction. The process of liquid extraction can be broadly categorized as extraction of low molecular weight products, extraction of high molecular weight products. Now the low molecular weight product, how they can be extracted? They can be extracted by physical extraction, which involves the compound itself that is being distinguished between two liquid phases based on their physical property. Then we have dissociation extraction, means the extraction of ionizable compounds, like certain kinds of antibiotic can be extracted by this procedure. Then we have reactive extraction, in which the desired product is made to react with the carrier molecule. For example, it can be phosphorus compounds, aliphatic amines, and that extract into organic solvent. Then we have supercritical fluid extraction method. Right? In this, the supercritical fluids are used to extract the desired component at low critical temperature and pressure for the extraction. And in food industry, we have example of extraction of caffeine from the coffee beans and pigments and flavor ingredients from the biological material. So it is widely used for that, but it is an expensive method. Now we have extraction of high molecular weight compounds. In this, organic solvents can't be used for the protein extraction as they may lose their biological activity. So we have to extract them in using aqueous two-phase system or reverse micelle formation. In ATPS, that is aqueous two-phase system, they can be prepared by mixing a polymer, that is polyethylene glycol, and a salt solution that can be used ammonium sulfate or two different polymers. So they involve the mixing of the two different kinds of polymers, right, with the salt solution, and the cells and some other solids remain in one phase and the protein can be transferred to the different phase, means other phase, and the distribution of the desired product is based on its surface, ionic character, and the nature of the phases. So that's how the separation take place by ATPS. Now in reverse micellar system, reverse micelles are stable aggregates of surfactant molecules and water in organic solvent, and the protein which has to be extracted from the aqueous medium by forming reverse micelle, so that their biological activity is there is less loss of biological activity. Okay, then we have membrane filtration, in which we use semi-permeable kind of membrane which selectively retain the particles molecules that are bigger than the pore size, while the smaller molecules are allowed to pass through the membrane pores. And the membranes which are used in membrane filtration technique, these are polymeric proteins materials such as polyether sulfones and polyvinyl difluoride. So these different kinds of membranes are employed, and we have different kinds of techniques also which we discussed earlier, like microfiltration, ultrafiltration, hyperfiltration, reverse osmosis, that is nanofiltration can also be used, and on these basis we can go for the concentration. Right now the next technique is unit operation is precipitation. Precipitation, it involves the removal of certain unwanted byproduct like nucleic acid, pigments, and how we go for that? By using neutral salts, organic solvents, high molecular weight polymers, and besides we can alter the temperature also, and we can change the pH also, and we can go for the precipitation by ligands and affinity precipitations also. So next is adsorption. Proper adsorbing material like adsorbents like activated charcoal, which was used in earlier days. Now we are using cellulose based adsorbents which are employed for the protein concentration, and we use different kinds of matrices also, which are used for low molecular weight compounds like vitamins, antibiotics, peptides. What kind of polymers are used? Polystyrene, acrylate based matrices are employed. Okay, and here is a figure which is showing the type of adsorption. Is it physically adsorbing on the surface of the matrix used, or it is chemically absorbing? And we generally go for physical adsorption in the case of biomolecules, right? Then we have the purification by chromatographic technique. Biological products for the fermentation are very effectively purified by the chromatographic technique. And generally chromatographic technique consists of stationary and mobile phase. Stationary phase is the porous solid matrix packed in a column, onto which the mixture of the compounds are to be separated is loaded, and the compounds are eluted by the mobile phase, right? And the elute from the column can be monitored continuously, because the proteins are eluting, and they can be monitored by ultraviolet adsorption at 820 nanometer, and collected in fractions of definite volume. So we can separate out the desired component of protein by using chromatographic technique. Now we have different kinds of chromatographic technique, and these types are gel filtration, ion exchange, chromatofocusing technique, affinity, hydrophobic interaction, immobilized metal ion affinity. Let's discuss some few of them. That is gel filtration chromatography. In this you can see a gel is involved in the a gel is placed in the column, which will act as a stationary phase, and the different kinds the molecules will be separated on the basis of their molecular size and shape, and smaller will be entrapped in the gel, and the larger will elute with the mobile phase. So in this way we can separate the desired component. In the ion exchange chromatography, we have two different kinds of ion exchange chromatography, cationic and anionic. So here you can see the column is filled with the beads of this negatively charged beads, and we have to separate the negatively charged beads from the solution. So the positive will be binded to the negatively charged beads present in the column, and we can have the desired product separation. Affinity chromatography, it depends it relies on the type of ligands used for the separation of the protein. So we have different kinds of ligands used for different types of protein, like antibiotic, cofactor, receptor, hapten, inhibitor, lactins, heparins, metal ions. So in the stated picture you can see the solvent is consisting of different kinds of components, and we have desired target protein, which is in the form of blue triangle, and the blue triangle will bind to the column, and then we can elute the desired blue proteins, triangle proteins, by eluting them with the system, and then we can go for the desalting also, because we use the salt solutions to elute the desired component, and in this way we can purify the our desired protein through chromatographic techniques. Then we have formulation. Now what is formulation? It is the maintenance of activity and stability of the biotechnological products during the storage and distribution. Now exactly we want to make the product shelf stable and increase its stability and activity during storage and distribution. So how we can go for that? By addition of the stabilizer in protein formulation, like we different kinds of stabilizers which are used are sugar, like example we have sucrose, lactose, salt, NaCl, polymers, polyethylene glycol, and polyhydric alcohols like glycerol. So we can dry and remove the water by using drying techniques, and the conventional drying technique, spray drying, is used for the heatable product, and modern drying techniques like freeze drying we use for heat sensitive product. Why we use for heat sensitive product? Because it involves first freezing of the component when the whole water molecules are frozen to solid water molecules, then they are subjected to vacuum, which causes the sublimation of the frozen water molecules, and then they can be sublimed into vapor, and we can have the dried product at a low temperature. So in this way, we have studied about all the steps which are involved in the downstream processing and the unit operations. Thank you for your kind attention. In case query, you can comment.